Hello, we are back. My name's Shay, I'm a nutritionist and an international level athlete. Today we're covering misconceptions about food, okay? I got 7 of them for you. Yeah, let's get into it. Number 1, frozen and fresh food. What's the difference? There's no difference, okay? The micronutrient profile stays the exact same. You don't lose any. The only difference really is taste and price. You know, if you're buying things out of season, you might be better off going frozen because out of season things are going to be expensive if they're not frozen. So that's all there is to it. Number 2, you should eat your neighbor's dog to get to your protein requirement. Artificial sweeteners. So are they good? Are they bad? The main ones used are saccharin, aspartame, and sucralose. There was a lot of skepticism saying these are going to mess up your gut microbiome and you should just eat the regular thing with just normal sugar because you're probably better off. But the thing is, the research doesn't really prove much as far as damaging your gut or anything else. So I'd say all the ones that are commonly used nowadays are probably pretty safe, unless we get new research that proves they're actually quite bad for the gut. But as for now, you can't really say they're bad. Number 3, the anabolic window. So this was kind of a thing maybe 5-10 years ago where it was the thought that if you didn't have your protein right before or after training, then your training was kind of useless, and this is pretty false, okay? Now, having a high protein meal right after training is not a bad habit to have, but the focus should always be the total protein by the end of the day. And this is okay if it's small meals or big meals, because they've found that even if you have a big meal, you can actually absorb all the protein regardless of how much there is, pretty much. And it'll actually have a similar effect to the smaller meals, because if it's a larger meal with high protein, it'll actually keep the aminos in your blood for longer with a big dose, because it'll take a while to come down. So I mean, small meals, big meals, all the same. Just hit your protein by the end of the day. The next one is food after a certain amount of time. Most people say like, oh, you can't eat carbs after 6 p.m. It's a bit of a mess. Now, if you are watching your weight and you're not even hungry, you're just sort of eating because you want to, yeah, that might be a problem. But as far as biochemistry goes, there's not really any difference. As far as sleep goes, I would try and distance it at least a couple hours before bed, but if you're going to bed later, it's not gonna matter if you're eating at 7 and going to bed at 12, right? Coincidentally, I'd say carbs are probably the best thing to have right before bed, because fat and protein in high doses close to your bedtime can actually inhibit sleep a little bit, because protein will actually heat your body up a little bit, which can be an issue because your body temperature has to come down to go to sleep. And also a high fat meal will actually slow down digestion quite a bit, which would mean if you have a high fat meal right close to bed, it's going to take a long time to get through. So as long as your last meal isn't right before bed, I wouldn't be too worried. Number 5, it is regarding some of these like fat-free, sugar-free things, and this really annoys me as far as food marketing goes, because the things that are labeled as high fat are usually just packed with sugar, and the other way around, where if it's like, oh, this is low sugar, it's probably just stacked with saturated fats. And again, like, fats aren't necessarily bad, but if it's stacked with saturated fats as opposed to unsaturated, that might be an issue. So be a bit skeptical if you see like all these labels and flashy colors on the front. Just check the back. It has to tell you how much sugar and saturated fat is in there. If they're high, then you have your answer. The next one is just clearing up the misinformation regarding cholesterol. There was a thing maybe 30 years ago where they said, things like eggs are gonna spike your cholesterol, and that's bad. And I think despite this being so old, a lot of people hold on to this sort of thing. And the truth is, no food directly can spike your cholesterol. Cholesterol is a part of your spectrum of blood lipids, and the main ones you want to worry about is, some people would say just LDL, some people would say a ratio between HDL and LDL, which stands for high and low density lipoprotein. It's complicated, but if I were to simplify it, I would just say saturated fats are going to be bad for your blood lipid profile. Unsaturated fats are going to be good for it. The last one is just about honey and sugar. People think honey is better because it's, I don't know, natural apparently. But the thing is, honey is pretty much just sugar in a different form. You know, some people will say it's got some nutrition to it. Not really. It's got very, very trace amounts of micronutrients, which are pretty much negligible. So I wouldn't buy into this. Plus, it's a bit more expensive. But eat honey if you want. Just know it's not any better. But don't be too afraid of sugar anyway. I mean, if you're in good health, it's not going to do much. So that's been 7 misconceptions. I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Or if there's any other misconceptions you want me to cover in the future, let me know. I'll see you next time.